Another Your Broken Record Watch video about the ranked matchmaker. Not exactly. I think I have incredibly good news to tell you. Changes that were going on behind the scenes that nobody knew about, but we have the evidence that kind of leads us to believe some major changes happened. I'll get into breaking down what that exactly is, the positives and negatives of all of that. But first, I'm happy to announce that we've just passed our 2nd year anniversary on YouTube, and to celebrate, we've teamed up with our sponsor, Razer, who have hooked us up with an exclusive 10% discount on all Overwatch-themed Razer products that runs through the end of May. To get your 10% off, follow the link in the description to the Razer store page, find the Overwatch-themed Razer gear of your choice, and then use the code YOUROW10, and that's all there is to it. And as always, if you have to only pick one item, I'd say be sure to get the Overwatch-themed Death Adder. The Death Adder is the mouse that we've used for years of PC gaming, even prior to being sponsored by Razer. We have more cool things to announce. We've got a giveaway coming as well. Stay tuned for our next video for more information on that. And also follow us on Twitter so that you get updates on giveaways and things like that as well. Now, moving on to the big ranked changes that we think they've implemented in Season 10, it appears from all of the anecdotal evidence that I've gathered that playing with friends no longer is punished. You might be thinking to yourself, what? Everybody knows that if you stack, the matchmaker starts to make your games really hard. There's like 10 reasons why you just shouldn't even try it, and much less it won't be rewarding for you at all. This seems to have been changed, which is a really big deal. I'll explain why in a sec, but first, the evidence that we have to garner that we believe this is the case. We ourselves have played the game quite a bit in stacks, both on accounts at Diamond as well as accounts in Masters, and also we've heard from some of our fans on Twitter that they've been trying to play in a stack and haven't noticed the matchmaker doing any of its normal tomfoolery in order to punish you for playing with friends. Now, there's a few things that it still does do. Your queue times will be longer. It tries to find equally sized groups to play against. All that seems fair, of course, but what it seems to have changed is that it used to be the case that if it couldn't find a equally sized group for you to be paired against, it then would stack SR against you in order to make it really hard to play that game. The games were always so much harder when you tried to play with friends. It became a normal byproduct of the Overwatch ranked community to just not play with friends ever. You'd have to think to yourself like, yeah, I really like Jim. Jim's a great guy. Jim's got a good hero pool, but can we really afford to go above a 3-stack? Do we really want the game to be that much harder? I mean, think of all the SR we're going to lose. I mean, it's sad that we had to think about this and have these conversations when you're trying to play with some buddies, figure out who you're going to vote off the island so that you don't get wrecked by the matchmaking system trying to stack the odds against you. But we haven't seen this to be the case in Season 10. If it doesn't find an equally sized group to be paired against you, it finds equal SR to be paired against you. And you might think to yourself, this is a really underwhelming fix, Frito. I don't think this is a really big deal. This is a huge deal. But the effects of it wouldn't have affected matchmaking yet, but it's about to if most people who play the game seriously start to stack with people that they want to play with instead of hoping that the avoid as teammate feature fixes solo queue for them. Ranked could be entirely fixed if we all utilize this feature to play the game in a better way. Now, I'm personally certain that they have changed something about this. I don't know if it was in Season 10. I don't know if it was recent. And you guys are going to have to let me know. It's part of the reason why I'm making this video. If you have been stacking, have you noticed that they've changed this aspect of the matchmaker? And now that you know that I think this is the case, go out and test it at all the different ranks that I know you guys play at. When you're not paired up against an equal size group, are they putting more SR against you to try to balance it out? Or are you playing an equal SR team, even if they're not grouped up? What I'm conducting here is like a giant social experiment for us to crack the code on this so we can get some definitive results. And it would make sense to me that they would start to tinker with this in Season 10, because as we know, they've already hinted a few things to us. One, they don't want to put in a role preference queue. If you remember from last BlizzCon, we interviewed Jeff Kaplan and Aaron Keller, and the answer they gave was that they'd prefer that you go in with friends in order to do this. But of course, there was always this system that disincentivized playing with a team in ranked. In other cases, they have outwardly said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but they were going to be looking into the reasons why people didn't want to group up, and that the last cherry on top of all of this is that we know over the summer they're going to be instituting new social features, and I think at least they've been trying to test what the effects, positive or negative, would be if they started to tinker with the rule set of how ranked works before they launch those social features, because you gotta think, if they put in a looking for group system into the game and people tried to group up and they ran into the brick wall of the SR punishments being put up against them and had a really bad time and got stomped, no one would want to group up. So it makes sense to me, at least, that they have quietly, secretly changed these things behind the scenes in order to see what would happen. Well, let's conduct that test, ladies and gentlemen. Changing this can save ranked entirely. The most important reason why is because the SR system needs to incentivize good Overwatch play. We've already seen this be a problem back in the day where performance stats played a much bigger role than winning, but we all could tell, of course, that farming stats in order to gain SR with a really low win rate doesn't make sense to be able to reach the higher ranks of the game. But in the same way, punishing team play from getting up to higher ranks is a big issue as well. Because no matter what, there is a hard mechanical limit to where any team can get to, whether it's a full team of 6 or an individual. In Overwatch, there is a mechanical brick wall where teamwork simply isn't good enough. We see this even in the Overwatch League. There's teams that have decent teamwork, but if you don't have a Jonak on your team, you're doing like a third less damage on Zenyatta, you're at a significant disadvantage. This idea that it is simply easy to gain a lot of rank by teaming up has never been the case, and it will continue to be even without these punishments in place, because you don't need the punishments in order to sort of reach a skill cap of where your group can get to, because you are limited by your own physical skill. You will actually have to mechanically improve anyway once the strategies that you run are starting to get tested and checked, and that's how it's supposed to work. That's how every other game I've ever played works. However, in Overwatch, of course, they punished people from stacking. If you tried to learn the game and rank, play with teammates, and learn how to work together, it would make your game so hard that you're not even learning anything. There's no way to actually progress and move up and improve. You have to be tossed back into the solo queue fodder in order to figure out how to carry people that aren't really trying together. And that, being sort of a split, has caused ranked to be toxic inherently for everyone. And the biggest reason why this saves ranked mode is that it can make SR be legitimate for once. With stacks being punished for so long in the game, everyone plays in sort of a solo queue free-for-all wasteland where everybody's out for themselves, and it comes down to which team throws less, not which team plays better. And I think we all know that that's how ranked plays. That's horrifically bad, and that's what makes SR illegitimate. The games are so unreliable that I feel like I don't really have much of a say on the outcome of them. The best route has always been to focus on yourself and then improve to a point where over time you'll win enough games to rank up, but in order to get there, you had to go through tons and tons of just randomness. And the problem is, when everybody is playing in that random system, no one is actually learning team play at any point. You're not playing against teams, you're not playing in a team, and the core aspects of what Overwatch is being lost until you start playing with Overwatch pros, who obviously they know team play because they do it professionally, but none of the rest of the community had to confront team play in a meaningful way. You didn't have to do it on your side, and you never really played against it. Well, in the new ranked world where there isn't punishments on stacks, players like I'm sure many of you out there who think if I just had good teammates, I'd be able to rank up higher, well, now you can put that to the test. Go into ranked with teammates that are actually trying to win, or willing to synergize and pick flexibly and all of that, and actually test yourself to see what you're capable of, rather than roll the dice in the random lottery of what solo queue matchmaking has been for Overwatch for quite some time. What happens is with these systems, because we've seen this in many other ranked games, I'm an old guy, I've played them for a very long time, is that not everybody stacks anyway, because it can be logistically difficult to even be on the game at the same time, even if you have people that want to play together. But the benefit is, if you actually do want to improve, you can go through as a team and figure out team play play together. And over time, the people who only want to play solo can still play solo, but they might not be as boosted as they've been thus far. Up to this point, most solo players are boosted by the random system. They're good solo players just based upon their ability to play the game by themselves, but have either playstyles or strategies or approaches to the game that only work in that deathmatch chaotic playstyle. Whereas when teaming up becomes the norm, they're going to have to come to grips with actual Overwatch and overcome counterpicking in team play, which will naturally legitimize what rank they have. So the biggest thing I think people don't think about is that when groups aren't punished, it helps the solo queue experience as well, because the teammates you'll get at X rank will have had real Overwatch games most of the time, not a bunch of random chaotic nonsense, up to the point where they get to that rank, and they'll be defined more by that experience. The SR number will mean something, not just be an indicator vaguely of how good you are mechanically, but it will indicate that you're a lot better at team play than it ever has before, at least once more groups start taking advantage of this. So ultimately, this fixes the game for a lot of people. What do you guys think of these changes? Is this a positive thing for Overwatch? Be sure to let us know if you've been testing this playing in groups of 3 or more, and let us know your results. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out, lets us know that you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, because we upload each and every day, so you're going to hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.